Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu. Very good to all the devotees who led the chanting today. Dhanvatanam dear devotees. Jai Shri Prabhupada. We'll start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, so usually we welcome all the devotees from ISKCON Indianapolis as well. Thank you so much for your association in this morning japa. So after japa, which is Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, we do a quick offering, Vandanam, prayers, as also as Grace Adeshan Prabhu was explaining yesterday. These powers are very potent, powerful, and very purifying because these are our prayers of our acharyas. So this week, every week we sing one prayer. This week, on the occasion of Narasimha Chaturdashi, we are singing this wonderful prayer that I posted in the chat. It's the Dashavatara Stotram by Srila Jayadev Goswami. So let me also share my screen. Let's sing this, and then we read the translation. Pralayapayodhi dhritavānasi vedam Vihitavahetracharitramachedam Keshavadhrita Meena Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Shitir iha vipulatare Tishtati tava prishthe Dharani dharana kina chakragarishte Keshavadhrita kurma sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vasati dashana shikhare dharani tava lagna Shashini kalanka kaleva nimagna Keshavadhrita shukara rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tava kara kamala vare Nakhamadbhuta shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Chalayasi Vikramane Balimadbhuta Vaman Padanakhanira Janita Janapavana Keshavadhrita Vamana Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Kshatriya Rudhiramaye Jagatapagata Papam Snapayasi Payasi Shamita Bhavatapam Keshavadhrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukhamoli Balim Ramaniyam Keshavadhrita Rama Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vahasi Vapushi Vishadevasanam Jaladabham Halahati Bhiti Milita Yamunabham Keshavadhrita Haladhara Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Nindasi Yagya Vidhir Ahaha Shruti Jatam Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashughatam केशवधृता बुद्धशरीरा जय जगदीश हरे म्लेच्छनिवहनिधने कलयसि करवालम् धूमकेतुमिव किम् अपि करालम् केशवधृता कल्किशरीरा जय जगदीश हरे श्रीजयदेव कवेरिदमुदितमुदारम् शृणु सुखदं शुभदं भवसारम् केशवधृता दशविधरूपा जय जगदीश हरे वेदानुद्धरते जगन्ति वहते भूगोलमुद्बिभ्रते दैत्यं दारयते बलिं चलयते शत्रक्षयं कुर्वते औलस्त्यं जयते हलं कलयते कारुण्यमातान्वते म्लेच्छान् मूर्छयते दशाकृतिकृते कृष्णाय तुभ्यं नमः श्री दशावतार स्तोत्रम की जय। श्री जयदेव गोस्वामी पाद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Anybody would like to take up the service of reading the translations this morning?
I can read.
Yes, Shri Mataji, go ahead.
O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish just to give protection to the Vedas, which had become immersed in the turbulent sea of devastation. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a tortoise, all glories to you. In this incarnation as a divine tortoise, the great Mandara mountain rests upon your gigantic back as a pivot for churning the ocean of milk. From holding up the huge mountain, a large scar-like depression is put in your back, which has become most glorious. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar, all glories to you. The earth, which had become immersed in the Garbhodaka ocean at the bottom of the universe, sits fixed upon the tip of your tusk like a spot upon the moon. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glories to you. Just as one can easily crush a wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way the body of the wasp-like demon Hiranyakashipu has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on your beautiful lotus hands. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, all glories to you. O wonderful dwarf, by your massive steps you deceive King Bali, and by the Ganges water that is emanated from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all living beings within this world. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Prigupati, Parshuram, all glories to you. At Kurukshetra, you bathe the earth in the rivers of blood from the bodies of the demoniac Kshatriyas that you have slain. The sins of the world are washed away by you, and because of you, people are relieved from the blazing fire of material existence. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Ramachandra. All glories to you. In the battle of Lanka, you destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana and distribute his heads as a delightful offering to the presiding deities of the 10 directions, headed by Indra. This action was long desired by all of them, who were much harassed by this monster. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Balram, the yielder of the prowl, all glories to you. On your brilliant white body, you wear garments the color of a fresh blue rain cloud. These garments are colored like the beautiful dark hue of the river Yamuna, who feels great fear due to the striking of your plowshare. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Buddha, all glories to you. O Buddha of compassionate heart, you decry the slaughtering of poor animals, performed according to the rules of Vedic sacrifice. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Kalki, All glories to you. You appear like a comet and carry a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian men at the end of the Kali Yuga. O Keshav, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed these 10 different forms of incarnation, all glories to you. O readers, please hear this hymn of the poet Jaidev, which is most excellent, an awarder of happiness, a bestower of auspiciousness, and it is the best thing in this dark world. O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, who appear in the forms of these 10 incarnations. In the form of Matsya, you rescue the Vedas, and as Karma, you bear the Mandara mountain on your back. As Vara, you lift the earth with your tusk. And in the form of Narsimha, you tear upon the chest of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vamana, you trick the Daitya king Bali by asking him for only 3 steps of land, and then you take away the whole universe from him by expanding your steps. As Parshuram, you slay all of the wicked Kshatriyas, and as Ramachandra, you conquer the Rakshas king Ravan. In the form of Balram, you carry a plough with which you subdue the wicked and draw towards you the river Yamuna. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion towards all living beings suffering in this world, and at the end of the Kali Yuga, you appear as Kalki to bewilder the Mlechas, degraded low-class men. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sri Mataji. Yes. Yeah, Jayadeva Goswami Pad is one of the very dear devotees of the Lord. He appeared almost 3 centuries before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really relished his compositions, his writings, along with few other devotees like Bilvamangal Thakur, Chandidas, but yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. During the last few years that he was on the planet, he really enjoyed hearing all the transcendental writings of Sri Jayadeva Goswami Pad. So when we read these prayers, when we sing these prayers, we can have the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so next we will continue reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. We are currently reading from chapter 18 of volume 1 or volume 1 of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, which is breaking ground. We saw when we read last week and Monday of Srila Prabhupada. It was a historical day. We are at the verge of incorporation of ISKCON, which also means is Krishna consciousness on. And we can see Srila Prabhupada, by his pure example, is teaching us how we can have the mood and mellow of Krishna consciousness no matter where we are on this planet, just as his Guru Maharaj was traveling all over the cities in India, but still he was always in the spiritual abode in Goloka, in Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada is in attracting all these pure hearted devotees. He's starting to do his morning programs at 6 a.m. in his apartment on 26 Second Avenue, where the Matchless Gifts, the storefront is there. And we see how Srila Prabhupada incorporated ISKCON with the 7 purposes to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to the society at large, leveraging Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, propagating the holy chanting of the holy names, bringing the society members closer to each other and nearer to Krishna, right? Publishing books so that this movement can go on for the next 10,000 years. And we see how all these pure devotees are coming forward, and some of them are bringing flowers, some of them are bringing fruits as offerings to Srila Prabhupada in the morning at 6 a.m. And Prabhupada is now continuing to give classes, so we'll continue from here. Okay, Prabhupada held his classes for almost 2 months in the privacy of his room, the same room where he typed and talked to guests. To Keith, it was not simply a class in philosophy, but a mystical experience of sweetness. Keith, the sound of his voice, the sun coming up, we would chant for a few minutes, softly clapping hands, and Swamiji would speak. The thing that got me most was simply the sound of his voice, especially while he was chanting Sanskrit. It was like music to my ears to hear him speak the raw sound. So as not to disturb the neighbors, Prabhupada would say, chant softly, and he asked the boys to clap softly, so softly that their hands barely touched. Then he would chant the prayers to the spiritual master, Samsara Dava Kalanidhaloka. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master extinguishes the blazing fire of material existence. With his eyes closed, he sat singing softly in the dim morning light. The few who attended, Keith, Howard, Chuck, Steve, Wally, sat entranced. Never before had the Swami been so appreciated. Chuck, the Swami was sitting there, and in the mornings he would look not shiny and brilliant, but very withdrawn. He looked as if he could sit like a stone, maybe forever. His eyes were only two tiny slits of glistening light. He took out his cymbals and played lightly on the edge. One, two, three. And he began to sing in a deep voice that was almost atonal in its intervals. It was a melody monotone that did not express happiness or sadness, a timeless chant that told no story. We chanted along with him as best as we could, but several times Swamiji stopped and said, softly. After about 30 minutes of chanting, we stopped. Then he opened his eyes wider and said, we must chant softly because sometimes the neighbors are complaining. After singing, the Swami would give one of the boys a copy of Dr. Radhakrishnan's edition of Bhagavad Gita to read aloud from. He would correct their mispronunciations and then explain each verse. Because there were only a few people present, there was always ample time for everyone to discuss the philosophy. The class would sometimes run an hour and a half and cover 3 or 4 verses. Steve. Swamiji mentioned that mangoes were the king of all fruits, and he even mentioned that they were not easily available in this country. It occurred to me that I could bring him mangoes. There was a store on First Avenue that always kept a stock of fresh mangoes in the cooler. I began a regular habit. Every day after getting off work, I would purchase one nice mango and bring it to Swamiji. Wally. Some of the boys would say, I am doing this for the Swami. So I went to him and said, is there something I can do for you? So he told me I could take notes in his class. The boys were sure that their service to Swamiji was spiritual, devotional service. By serving the spiritual master, who was a representative of Krishna, you were serving Krishna directly. One morning, Prabhupada told Howard that he needed help in spreading the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Howard wanted to help, so he offered to type the Swami's manuscripts of Srimad Bhagavatam. Howard. The first words of the first verse read, O the king, and naturally I wondered whether O was the king's name and the king stood in opposition. After some time, I figured out that O king was intended instead. I didn't make the correction without his permission. Yes, he said, change it then. I began to point out a few changes and inform him that if he wanted, I could make corrections, that I had a master's in English and taught last year at Ohio State. Oh, yes, Swamiji said, do it, put it nicely. He was giving them the idea of devotional service. A devotee may not be perfect at first, he said, but if he is engaged in service, once that service has begun, he can be purified. Service is always there in the material world or the spiritual. But service in the material world could not bring satisfaction to the self. Only bhakti, purified service, service rendered to Krishna could do that. And the best way to serve Krishna was to serve the representative of Krishna. They picked it up quickly. It was something you could do easily. It was not difficult like meditation. It was activity. You did something, but you did it for Krishna. They had seen Swamiji respond to the Bawari bum who had come with a gift of toilet paper. Just see, Swamiji had said, he is not in order, but he thought, let me give some service. But service had to be done voluntarily, out of love, not by force. Wally. Swamiji once asked me, do you think you could wear the Vaishnav tilak when you are on the streets? I said, well, I would feel funny doing it, but if you want me to, I will. And Swamiji said, no, I don't ask you to do anything you don't want to do. Steve. One day, when I brought my daily mango to him, he was in his room surrounded by devotees. I gave him my mango and sat down, and he said, very good boy. The way he said it, as if I were just a tiny little boy, made everyone in the room laugh, and I felt foolish. Swamiji, however, then changed their mood by saying, no, this is actually love. This is Krishna consciousness. And then they didn't laugh. When Howard first volunteered to do editing, he spent the whole morning working in Swamiji's room. If there is any more typing, Howard said, let me know. I could take it back to Mott Street and type there. More? There's a lot more, Swamiji said. He opened the closet and pulled out two large bundles of manuscripts tied in saffron cloth. There were thousands of pages, single-spaced manuscripts of Prabhupada's translations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Howard stood before them, astonished. It's a lifetime of typing, he said, and Prabhupada smiled and said, oh, yes, many lifetimes. Because of Prabhupada's presence and the words that he spoke there and the kirtanans, everyone was already referring to the storefront as the temple. But still, it was just a bare, squalid storefront. The inspiration to decorate the place came from the Mott Street boys. Howard, Keith, and Wally devised a scheme to surprise the Swami when he came to the evening kirtan. Wally removed the curtains from their apartment, took them to the laundromat, where they turned the water dark brown from filth, and then dyed them purple. The Mott Street apartment was decorated with posters, paintings, and large decorative silk hangings that Howard and Keith had brought back from India. The boys gathered up all their pictures, tapestries, incense burners, and other paraphernalia, and took them along with the purple curtains to the storefront, where they began their day of decorating. At the storefront, the boys constructed a wooden platform for Prabhupada to sit on and covered it with old velvet cloth. Behind the platform, on the rear wall between the two windows to the courtyard, they hung the purple curtains, flanked by a pair of orange ones. Against one orange panel, just above Swamiji's sitting place, they hung a large original painting of Radha and Krishna on a circular canvas that James Green had done. Prabhupada had commissioned James, giving him the dust jacket from his Srimad Bhagavatam with its crude Indian drawing as a model. The figures of Radha and Krishna were somewhat abstract, but the Lower East Side critics who frequented the storefront hailed the work as a wonderful achievement. Keith and Howard were less confident that Prabhupada would approve of their paintings and prints from India, so they hung them near the street side of the temple, away from Swamiji's seat. One of these prints, well known in India, was of Hanuman carrying a mountain through the sky to Lord Ramchandra. The boys had no idea what kind of being Hanuman was. They thought perhaps he was a cat because of the shape of his upper lip. Then there was a picture of a male person with 6 arms. 2 arms painted greenish held a bow and arrow, another pair bluish held a flute, and the third pair golden held a stick and a bowl. By late afternoon, they had covered the sitting platform, hung the curtains, tacked up the decorative silks and prints, and hung the paintings, and were decorating the dais with flowers and candlesticks. Someone brought a pillow for Swamiji to sit on, and a faded cushion from an overstuffed chair for a backrest. In addition to the Mott Street cash, Robert Nelson took one of his grandfather's Belgian-style Oriental rugs from his garage in the suburbs and brought it by the subway to 26 Second Avenue. Even Raphael and Don took part in the decorating. The secret was well kept, and the boys waited to see Swamiji's response. That night, when he walked in to begin the kirtan, he looked at the newly decorated temple. There was even incense burning, and he raised his eyebrows in satisfaction. You are advancing, he said as he looked around the room, smiling broadly. Yes, he added, this is Krishna consciousness. His sudden happy mood seemed almost like the reward for their earnest labors. He then stepped up onto the platform while the boys held their breaths, hoping it would be sturdy, and he sat, looking out at the devotees and the decorations. They had pleased him, but he now assumed a feature of extreme gravity, and though they knew he was certainly the same Swamiji, their tittering stuck in their throats, and their happy glances to each other suddenly abated in uncertainty and nervousness. As they regarded Swamiji's gravity, their joy of a few moments before seemed suddenly childish. As a cloud quickly covers the sun like a dark shade, Prabhupada changed his mood from jolly to grave, and they spontaneously resolved to become equally grave and sober. He picked up the kartals and again smiled a ray of appreciation, and their hearts beamed back. The temple was still a tiny storefront, with many hidden and unhidden cockroaches, a tilted floor, and poor lighting, but because many of the decorations were from India, it had an authentic atmosphere, especially with Swamiji present on the dais. Now, guests who entered were suddenly in a little Indian temple. Mike Grant. I came one evening, and all of a sudden there were carpets on the floor, pictures on the wall, and paintings. Just all of a sudden, it had blossomed and was full of people. I was amazed how, in just a matter of days, people had brought so many wonderful things. When I came that evening and saw how it had been decorated, then I wasn't so much worried that he was going to make it. I thought it was really beginning to take hold now. Hare Krishna. We'll pause here for today. Yes, I would like to open up for any thoughts, comments, reflections from anybody from today's reading. I was just remembering some of the memories of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, especially in New Vrindavan. When New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada came only hardly 4 or 5 times, but how much of dedication, how much of sincerity, how much of surrender and pure love his disciples had for him, that they wanted to construct this residence for Srila Prabhupada so that he can sit and translate the Srimad Bhagavatam there in New Vrindavan, which is today the Palace of Gold, which is kind of the Smriti Samadhi of Srila Prabhupada. And, they were racing against time as well. They knew that Prabhupada was not going to be there with them for long, so they tried to complete it, but eventually, they couldn't make it before Prabhupada left the mortal world. But the love that they had for him, we can see that today it is standing bright, beaming with bhakti, beaming with spiritual potency. Anybody who goes there, they could feel that positive, transcendental vibrations and energy coming from Srila Prabhupada himself. But again, that is because of the purity and the devotional mood of his humble servants, of how much hard work, dedication they had. It was not easy when Srila Prabhupada left, but they were all heartbroken. But they finished that work, and yeah, like Prabhupada's Tadiyas, the drum that he used first time for his kirtan, his footwear, his walking stick, and many other things. Even his Srimad Bhagavatam that he brought on Jaladuta is preserved there. And like that, of course, all the temples around the world that Prabhupada's disciples so amazingly constructed today that stand out in all the different cities of the world. Those are all like offerings of love. And we see here how his initial disciples here, Keith, Howard, Wally, all of them, this wonderful gesture that they did to surprise Prabhupada as he was coming in. And we see Prabhupada's mercy flowing, that yes, this is pure Krishna consciousness, something done out of love, not out of force. So yeah, it just reminded me of those. Yes, anybody else would like to share anything? Anandini Gopika Mataji? Okay, she's busy. Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Yasmina Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I was just thinking all the gifts that people are bringing, how absorbed they are, and how inspired they are by the simple acts. If you start something with a pure intention, it definitely will reach the right hearts, and it's magnetism. So was Prabhupada's magnetism, not just of his character, the way he was carrying himself, but of his words. I think that sort of attracted everyone, and that's where we are today. Because he just not led by words, he led by example, and the purity showed and attracted everyone.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Anybody else would like to share anything? Okay. If no other thoughts, then maybe we'll conclude here for today. Thank you, as always, for your kind association. Hope everybody had a wonderful Ekadashi yesterday. And if you fasted, make sure you break your fast in the Parana time, which I think is a little later today, around 8:30, if I'm not mistaken, after 8:30 or 8:40ish. So we'll do that, and we'll continue to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna as you go through our day. So with that, we'll end with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Hare Krishna.